All right, folks, welcome back. I am Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about our final offensive tackle of our prospect series here. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Of course, you can follow me on all social media at JK Bogan. Let's dive into this thing. So we're talking about Olu Fashanu today, or Fashanu. I think it's Fashanu, or Fashanu. I think it's Fashanu. Yeah, Fashanu. Olu Fashanu from Penn State, offensive tackle. I don't know why he's being so underrated this draft process. I honestly have no idea. When you watch his tape, I mean, it just stands out. I thought, right before I started, filming this video, I just gave myself, another, film to watch, another game. And I watched the Ohio State game, and he was just so consistent against top-tier competition. So we're going to be talking about what he brings to the table, and at the end, we'll talk about whether or not the Rams should go after him, because this is a Rams channel. However, if you're not a Rams fan, you can take something out of all of these videos that I make, because I give you my full scouting report on them. So let's talk about it. Here are my notes. Olu Fashanu. 2-year starter at Penn State. He's only 21 years old. He won't be 22 until December. So you're getting a young tackle. That's a good thing. Prototypical size for the left tackle spot, 6'6", 320 pounds. His agility is freakish. He mirrors his man well. He displays this reactive quickness. And I think really when you watch the tape, you can see, I don't know necessarily in the moment if he's baiting his man, although he does that quite often. But you can see even if he has like a misstep or whatever, a false step, he can recover. I mean, it's really impressive, the athleticism that this guy displays. The reactive quickness is there, but also his ability just to make these sudden changes, of direction. It's important. You have guys at the NFL level like Nolan Smith, who just ran a 4.3 last year at the combine. This is a pass rusher. I mean, this is the future of pass rushers. Chop Robinson is like the biggest. I think it is. He's the biggest to run 4.4. I forget what it was, but you have these guys running 4.4s and 4.5s, and to have a guy that can, make that sudden change is huge. He displays the ability to get to the second level. That's something you're going to see here with a lot of these top guys. They have the athleticism to work downfield. It's a great thing to have. That's really what makes you a first-round pick. If you have the athleticism to move around, not just as a pass protector, but as a run blocker, that's going to help you. He takes great angles. I think when he gets out there, he does a really nice job of, just making sure that he's square, in that blocking stance. And, I think it really allows him to free up those running lanes. So that is a big deal in my opinion. Another thing that's a big deal is footwork. It's very smooth mover. I think that's a big deal. Allows him to cut off faster edge defenders. So that's also something. He uses his hands actively. You can see him. He's constantly throwing haymakers. I would not want to go against that guy if I was an edge defender, but he does a nice job of it. Can go a little bit too crazy, but you can tell at the top of that rush, he's really trying to disrupt the flow, and it works. I think the grip strength is just outstanding. It allows him to take control of any rep. I feel like he's in control of most reps before you've even seen him make that initial contact at the point of attack with whoever is rushing the quarterback. So I think that's great about him. He displays the ability to have great snap-to-snap anchor in pass protection. What do I mean by that? Well, when he gets pushed back, he can really drop his anchor. And what I mean is when he's getting pushed back, he can basically drop his weight, and then he's really hard to move. And I think that he does a really nice job of that, kind of resetting himself there. He's got really good technique. I don't feel like, with some other tackles I've mentioned, I said, This guy might struggle against the speed. This guy might struggle against speed to power. This guy might struggle, against more methodical rushers that, incorporate more stutters and stunts and things like that nature. No, he is not somebody that is susceptible to getting beat by one specific archetype. I think he does well against all of them. Maybe there's one he does better. I did not find that on tape. I found that he was pretty consistent across the board. So that's a good thing. When you look at him, this is just a very high motor player. Okay. This guy is going to play his hair off. That's just the way it is. He's always looking for work after he finishes his assignment. And I think that's very important part of his game. More often than not, he's in control of the rep. But I mentioned earlier, he'll bait edge rushers. He will bait you. He will make a step maybe inside or outside to get you to do what he wants you to do. And it works well. It just shows this level that even though he's 21 years old, and he, for a lot of people, he's listed on the NFL Combine website as boomer bust. Even though people are looking at him like he has the most bust potential of the top tackles, he might not have the most bust potential of the top tackles. He might be more refined than people give him credit for. He's very intelligent. He was a captain. Penn State really relied on him. So I think maybe, throughout all of this, I think he's a little underrated. But you know what else is underrated? Mantis Sleep, which is today's sponsor. Mantis Sleep, man, you get 100% blackout. You put this thing on, you're not going to see a damn thing, and it helps you go to bed if you need to do that, which obviously around sleep time, most of us need to do that. It's got C-shaped eye cups, allows you to sleep on your side, which is a win. You talk about this being the sound mask. Well, it's my favorite. That's why I promote it. The sound mask allows you to connect your phone to the speakers. They have these razor thin speakers right in your ear hole. Perfect. You can get this today or any of their products today using my promo code JKBogan. The link is in the description. I'll get you 10% off your purchase. Now back to the video. Okay, so we talked about his strengths. He's a stable, he's a sturdy, and he's a reliable blindside protector. And you should feel very good if you come away with Olu Fashanu in this draft. However, what are the things that we need to know about as far as his weaknesses? What are things he could be better in? Well, I have those for you. He plays a little bit high, okay? When you look at that size, you talk about some of the other guys that play with really good knee bend and they have really good pad level. He plays a bit high in those lapses, okay? He does get into those moments, and it does hurt him. I think it was the game against Michigan was the one that really stood out to me that hurt him in. He can get caught off guard and blown backwards by power rushers. Now, I know I said the archetypes don't really bother him. I'm not saying he's susceptible to getting beat by power rushers. I'm just saying that's really the only archetype where if you're talking about what is his weakness is that, sometimes he doesn't have balance issues, but sometimes he can be knocked off platform a little bit, not, on his feet or, on his butt or anything like that. But the guys that do that are typically power rushers. However, for the most part, that's not a huge issue, and I'm kind of nitpicking there. It doesn't happen often. He has lapses in the run game. Okay. He will just whiff on some blocks. I think he's underrated in the run game. I gave him a pretty high grade as a run blocker. Maybe some will agree, maybe some won't. But the lapses are there, and it's worth mentioning in the weakness category, as well as the fact he's got outstanding length. He just doesn't really use it to his advantage enough. Now he's aggressive, but at times he just doesn't really take advantage of the arm length. Maybe he plays more alligator armed, that whole deal. He doesn't get great leverage in the run game. He's not consistently driving through his block from what I've seen. And I feel like he lacks that mauler energy as a blocker in the run game. Reason I say that's fine. Like a weakness, okay, but like what you're getting with Fashanu is one of the best offensive tackle prospects in this draft and quite some time. He, Alt, and Fuaga are the big three. They should all probably go in a regular draft with not all this hype around the quarterbacks and wide receivers. these three could go 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying in the past, I mean, we saw Luke Jokel, we saw Eric Fisher, those guys go 1, 2. I think these guys are much better prospects than those two were. So, my point here, what are you getting with Fashanu? Altogether, you're getting a guy that is very good in pass pro. The things he needs to work on are the things that NFL coaching is going to make a huge difference for. So that's the first thing. The second thing is run blocking. While he's not amazing as a run blocker, he's still very good. He's underrated. I think, you look at Fashanu, the issues he has are issues that are correctable. Maybe not as correctable as Alt. He might not be as NFL ready as Joe Alt, which is kind of crazy because Alt is younger. But Fashanu, he's another outstanding prospect. I don't think people are aware of how good he really is. He's got a mega ceiling, and he's ready-made for the NFL. Like I said, he's a bit underrated, and I think a reason for that is because of Joe Alt, Talisa Fuaga, and of course, JC Latham. But he's definitely worth a top 15 pick at the least. I think the weaknesses might be a bigger deal for some that have an opportunity to draft Alt or have an opportunity to draft Fuaga. But the right coaching can turn him into a top NFL tackle. And in my opinion, he's a starting day one left tackle. He's already very good. In my opinion, he's going to be leaps and bounds better when he goes through an NFL training camp and an NFL preseason. And that's saying a lot. He's already a very good player, but I think he's going to be a lot better, day one in the NFL because of that NFL coaching style, the training camp, and the preseason. Could be wrong, but that's the vibe I'm getting based on what he already has to bring to the table. But let's talk about it. What are his grades? Well, I gave him a 9.6 out of 10 for agility. That's elite, by the way. Anything over 9.5 is considered elite. He's very agile. It's very agile. Pass protection, 9.5 out of 10. Run blocking, 8.9 out of 10. Spatial movement, 9.3. Pull/trap, 9.1. Play strength, 9.4. Technique, 9.1. Size, 9.5. Awareness, 9.6. And balance, 8.9. Comes out to be a 92.9 grade. And in case you didn't know, that grade puts him as my third overall tackle according to my list. So we did 10 videos. We graded 10 offensive tackles. I'll have more, but the videos are going to cease a little bit. Might just do shorts for the offensive tackles. Maybe down the road, if I have an offensive tackle that really stands out, I'll make a video on him, like a full-length video. But for now, I want to move on to edge defenders. I'm already really excited to dive right in. We're going to start with Laiatu Latu, Jared Verse and Dallas Turner, as well as Braylon Trice, Chop Robinson. So that's something I'm very excited for. But to wrap this thing up, he's number 3. He grades out at a 92.9. Joe Alt was 93.1, and Fuaga is 93.9, according to my grades. Latham was a 90.1. So, when you look at this, I have 4 legitimate first round top 15 talents. That's how I feel. I feel like there's a little bit of a space between Latham and the other 3, but Latham is definitely up there. So he's tied for 5th in pass block grade. Fashanu is. He's 43rd in run block grade, 14th overall, 17 pressures allowed and 654 pass protection snaps, 2 sacks. He's age 21. He's 6'6", 320. The question remains, does he make sense for the LA Rams to trade up for? Because we're not talking about draft. He won't be there at 19. Maybe he could. I don't know. Laramie Tunsil fell, to 13? Anything's possible. You'd probably need something a little bit more than just he fell. So hopefully he doesn't fall to 19 because we want him to be okay. But Fashanu is 100% a fit for the LA Rams. He's 100% a fit to be the bookend left tackle of the future for the LA Rams. And he's 100% a realistic possibility to trade up should he fall. Okay. I think the Rams would consider trading up for Joe Alt. I think the Rams would consider trading up for Fuaga if he's willing to play left tackle. And I think the Rams would be willing to trade up for Fashanu. The reason is because you don't get drafts like this. You just don't. I shouldn't have to tell you this. You already know. Look at the Jason Smith draft. Jason Smith isn't as good of a prospect as Amarius Mims. Okay? Amarius Mims, most people would have him as 5th or 6th in this draft. Jason Smith went number 1 to the Rams. Okay? There have been tackles in the past that have gone super high, and they're nowhere near as good as these prospects. And I'm not overreacting. I'm not, okay, this is recency bias. No, I'm telling you, these guys are different. You don't get draft classes with a Fuaga, an Alt, or a Fashanu. The only time you get those is when the Rams don't have a pick in that top 10. Yes, I'm a little salty about it. However, this makes sense for the Rams. I think Fashanu has the biggest chance of falling. He seems like he's getting underrated. Seems like some teams who might not have as great a coaching as, say, the Rams might not want to go this route. They might not be willing to take on the risk. So if that's the case and he fell past the Jets at 10, yes, I think the Rams should 100% trade up if they haven't already for Fashanu. To me, I think Joe Alt would make the most sense. Can play left tackle right away, has the familiarity factor with him being coached by Tony Pastor's brother in high school. I think that's real. I think that's something that could really happen. But I also think Fashanu could really happen. And I think too many people make too big of a deal about Fashanu against Michigan, and they totally ignore how freaking good this guy is as a prospect. So, end of the day, if Fashanu was the Rams' left tackle for the next 10 years, that would be a very good thing. This makes a lot of sense. They should trade up for a left tackle because that is the best player available. I can assure you, if the Rams trade up out of 19, which, by the way, they're not picking 19, okay? I don't think they trade down either. I think they're going to trade up. They're not picking 19. I don't buy it. So the best player available is likely going to be one of these tackles. And there's a chance that these tackles fall because of the whole idea of being enamored by quarterbacks. And so think about this. If you have a scenario where, let's just say, Caleb Williams goes 1, Drake May goes 2, Jaden Daniels goes 3, maybe all of a sudden some team falls in love with J.J. McCarthy for some reason, or Michael Penix, or, Bo Nix, one of those guys goes in the top 10. Now, that's what? 4 out of the 10 are quarterbacks. That means 6 picks. And now, Marvin Harrison goes off the board. Neighbors goes off the board. That's 2. So now you think about it, you do the math, it's 4 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers. So now you have 6 out of the 10 are gone, and you still haven't picked the tackle. And then you have Alt, you have Fuaga, and you have Fashanu. And you have Latham. So you have 4 tackles there that are worth top 15 picks that at least one of them will fall outside of top 10. You'd have to imagine. There is a scenario here where this plays in the Rams' favor. The Rams are able to trade up for a Joe Alt at the end of the top 10, or trade up for a Fashanu after the top 10, or trade up for Fuaga. But it's right there. It's staring us in the damn face. And I'll say this right now. You might have to give up the first rounder of 2025. But if you saw what I saw last year, and you see what I see right now, this Rams team, the way they're setting themselves up, doesn't look like that draft pick is going to be that low, right? Looks like it's going to be, well, it actually looks like it's going to be very low. So I guess in that sense, doesn't look like it's going to be that high. That draft pick looks like it'll be in the 30s. So that would be okay. Another thing they could do, as I wrap this thing up, and I wouldn't be surprised, and do not put it past them, because maybe we're overlooking it. Maybe we keep hearing F them picks and think, oh, that just means he wants to trade away picks for a proven talent. Or maybe the Rams would be more interested in saying F them picks 2025, Give up the first round pick. Say, you know what? We haven't picked in the first round in a while. I want to pick twice. So they stay at 19, and then maybe they trade back into the first round, and they use a first rounder next year. A team that, in the back end doesn't want him, and maybe you come away with the guy that falls. Who knows? Maybe you get Mims and Latu. Who knows? My point is, this is not set in stone. They are not picking at 19, though. I can assure you, they are not making a selection at pick 19. I'd be absolutely shocked if they stayed at pick 19. This draft is far from elite. This draft is far from legendary. This draft is far from generational. But while everyone continues to be enamored and obsessed and drool over the quarterbacks in this draft, they're forgetting that there are 3 very, very good offensive tackles that will be starters day one and can change franchises because of it. Fashanu is one of those guys, and I think he makes a ton of sense for the Rams. So let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Do you like Fashanu? Do you not like Fashanu? Very curious to see. This is the last video of the offensive tackles. We'll probably have some guard videos and center videos at some point, but I'm going to give you guys a break. I know a lot of you are tired of the offensive tackle videos. So the next video you see will be Latu. We're going to break down his game, why I think he's the best edge defender in this class. And so I'm excited to talk about it. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media at JK Bogan, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks.